Do I honestly think that I can get back to the fitness that I had 4 or 5 years ago? How do I balance enjoyment and obsession in the sport? And what happened to my weight loss journey? Those questions and more are going to be answered in this video today by me. I'm Daniel, this is the TriathlonDan YouTube channel, and in true wannabe influencer style, this is a Q&A video. It blows me away that anybody is in any way interested in what I do, but thank you very much, and thank you to those who submitted questions on my Instagram. I'm going to try and repay you by being honest, direct, not dodging the difficult questions. If there's anything you don't think I answer fully or you want to know more about, drop in the comment section down below and let's get stuck in. I was going to say these are in no particular order. They're in the order that they're submitted, so I'm not going to be like putting the most interesting ones to the end, so you watch till the end. They're probably just scattered in and amongst there, so hope you enjoy this video. And if you do enjoy it, hit that like and subscribe button. Thank you very much. Kicking us off then with an interesting one, Billy has asked, what watts per kilo do you think that you need to be to Kona qualify at a hilly Ironman, i.e. Ironman Wales or Leeds? Now I've done Ironman Bolton once and I've done Ironman Wales twice, and I've kept a close eye on the Kona qualifying times or the World Championship qualifying times. I haven't really looked in the last couple of years because I've not really been in the shape to be able to be even thinking about it. But back in 2019 to 2022, it was in my mind. 2019 Ironman Wales is the best reference point I have. Before then, most years in my age group, which was 25 to 29 back then, the qualifying time, or the time that got you a high enough position to stand a chance of qualifying, was 10 hours or just sub 10 hours. So a fast time on a tough course. I rode 5 hours and 40 minutes in 2019, and I think that's roughly what you need to do to be able to be in the ballpark of a sub 10. 5:30 to 5:40, a 3:10 to 3:20 marathon, and about an hour and a bit in the swim puts you around there, if my maths serve me correctly. Now, times have probably moved on since then. In fact, I know that they have. In terms of power on that course that day, I rode just over 3 watts per kilo as an average, and my threshold at the time was about 4.5 to 4.7 watts per kilo. So that's what I had to do those numbers. There's probably a bit more in kit optimization since then, so perhaps you could get away with a little bit less, but I would just remind people that it's not all about watts per kilo. Even on the hilly courses, there are a lot of flat bits in between, there's a lot of twisty sections, descents, and even on some of the climbs, when they're shallow, it's not just pure watts per kilo that is, that's the answer. Of course it helps, but let's look at Joe Skipper, for example. He rode in 2022, aside from his mechanical, faster than anybody else on the course that day, and he is not the highest watts per kilo on the course that day, but he rode it well, surged on the climbs, rode fast in between. I know he can handle a bike. It's just a fast rider will get a fast time, and providing you're in the right ballpark of watts per kilo, so if you've got a threshold of, I'd say, between 4.5 and 5, you can probably get 5.5 hours or less if you ride it properly. So probably around there, but I might be blown away but nowadays by how fast people are going. And whilst we're on the subject of Ironman Wales, Charlie has asked, am I still doing Ironman Wales this year? The answer is yes, absolutely. I try not to talk about things that are happening too far in advance because it just feels like it's so far away that it's not relevant to the videos that I'm making, but I'm absolutely doing it. I think about it all the time. I can't wait. It's one of my favorite events in the world and I cannot wait to get back on the beach. Sophie asks, update on the rodent detecting cat flap, please. So for those that don't know, Liz and I, a little while ago, invested in I say invest because it was a lot of money and it makes it seem more sensible to spend the money on it, in an AI-powered electric camera that goes on our microchip detecting cat flap, which senses if your cat's got an animal in its mouth or not. And if it has, it stops the cat flap opening, and if it hasn't, it lets your cat in. About a 95% success rate in that it will stop my cat coming in if it has an animal in its mouth most of the time. Occasionally, if he really stuffs a mouse in his mouth, he can sneak in, but the majority of the time, it's brilliant. So it saves us the mess, the trauma of chasing an animal around, and of course the poor animal from being played with in the house. So yeah, really good. I would really recommend them, and I think they're bringing out an update soon, so I see. So hopefully we'll get colour camera or, I don't know, better updates or something. Liz asking about my Garmin mount. So I'm actually using the cyclic mount because I got some cyclic cameras and it came with a mount, and that's what I've been using on the front. It's got a little GoPro mount on the bottom, so I can attach a light or the cyclic camera or GoPro, those sorts of things. And it's an aluminium mount. I do quite like using those, especially with a bigger computer. I didn't notice until I did some slow-mo the other week that when the big computers are on a carbon or composite mount, they do wobble around quite a lot. You can't see it to the naked eye, but they do get shook around. So yeah, cyclic mount. Jack has asked, when's the next Vagelia attempt? So Jack, you're local, you're in the squad. For those that haven't seen the video, this was a couple of years ago now. I think the Dan Bigham video has sort of brought this back up in people's minds, and it has mine. So a couple of years ago, myself and 7 friends tried to get a KOM locally. It's about a 13.5-minute climb at KOM pace. It's held by Dan Bigham. It's quite a flat climb, it's about 3 or 4% average. So a normal person or group of people should be able to take it. Me and a few friends led out Adam Kenway, ex-national hill climb champion, to try and get it. Adam equaled his best ever time, which was second. It was 13 seconds off of the fastest time. We didn't have the best day weather-wise, and we're just average bike riders, so we were a little way off. Now, I had immediate plans to try and do it on a better weather day, but there's just lots of moving parts in terms of when are my friends free, are they interested in doing it or not? But the honest answer is it hasn't happened because my fitness just went downhill and I wasn't motivated to do that sort of thing because I can't be of help, I can't be of use, and I feel like if it's my project, I need to be doing more than anybody else and being relevant and being helpful, those sorts of things. So it's not on the plan, but it's not on the plan anytime soon, and I think there's traffic lights plan to be installed halfway up or a mini roundabout, which could scupper the whole thing. I mean, I'm not against doing some traffic management, but it's not ideal to try and make a video about that sort of thing or try and do it safely. So watch this space perhaps, or perhaps you don't watch this space and it happens at some point. Gary has asked about what key metrics do I look at in training peaks and why. It's overwhelming when you first start. Yes, I guess it is. I mean, to be honest, I mostly use Training Peaks for a life diary. Now I know Gary has just signed up to Training Peaks Premium and so it's a whole new world to him. I've used it for years. I just like using it as an actual life diary. In terms of the data that I look at, I don't really spend too much time looking at it, and when I do, it's simple things: normalized power, average heart rate, average speed, those sorts of things. Now I've got a cycling coach, that's what I pay him for. Like, if I do a session or a race, that's what you're paying for, right? You're paying for that. Okay, I've assessed this, you did well here, you didn't do well here, let's talk about this bit. I don't need to be wasting energy looking at that. And because at the minute I felt like I'm not hitting lifetime PBs and anything, I don't really want to be looking at the data in detail. It's not that I'm ashamed of it at all, I'm quite happy with it, but it's like I'm not motivated to do a deep dive, but I'll try and do more of that in future. I've got another couple from Gary, thank you Gary. So, how come I'm using a Garmin computer? I thought you used Wahoo. I use a mix, to be honest, and this sounds really silly, but because I went through a phase of having different bikes and different mounts, I end up in the position where I've got a Wahoo Roam version 1, which isn't worth that much money anymore, it's not really worth selling, and then I got a Garmin, and I thought, well, I don't want to buy an expensive mount for a newer computer. I'll just use the Wahoo on the crit bike and the Garmin on the road training bike, and that's essentially what I've been doing. Now I have a Garmin mount on all my bikes, and I tend to just use the 1040 Solar. Now Garmin did give me that a couple of years ago. I'm now not on any sort of Garmin best friends list, so I don't get free products, but I went to that because it was free and I wanted to test it, and it is a really good unit. I really like it. The Wahoo Roam, the version 1, is really good as well, and for the price point versus the Garmin at the time, I think it's still a good buy. They both have upsides and downsides. Right now, I tend to take the Wahoo to events as a backup. If the day before a race something breaks, then I've got a computer. Sure, the mount won't fit, but at least I've got a computer in my pocket or something. And I tend to use the Bolt on my TT bike because it's quite small and I can fit it between the time trial bars. In an ideal world, I'd have the same type of computer as in make, so that the mounts are the same, but I do see a use case for a smaller computer and a bigger computer. Train the bigger one, race for the smaller one, but I'm just not going to go out and buy a range of Garmins or a range of Wahoos and mounts now. I'm just going to see how long I go for as it is. I am interested to test the newer Wahoos. I've got the Garmin 1040 is reasonably new, but my Wahoos are several years old, so I'm not really comparing apples to apples. But again, I just can't bring myself to buy another bike computer when I've already got 2 or 3, and I don't really warrant the use of anymore. And to be totally transparent, I've tried asking for demo units, test units to do content on, and just either get no reply or told no. So I can't do any more. And Gary, every time I look at this watch, I think about it. Where's the Apple Watch review that I promised 16 years ago? So I mean, it's telling Siri to do something now. Yeah, I think I've had this not far off a year now. I did buy it deliberately with YouTube in mind, but I just haven't prioritized that type of content. And I look at the videos that DC Rainmaker and other creators do, and I think, wow, that's good. I don't think I can make one that good, so therefore I don't do it. I've used this plenty now to be able to talk about, and people ask me about that sort of thing all the time, and I just talk about it. So I do need to do a video on it, and that is how I justified spending the money on it to, to make YouTube videos about. And Haven't made a single one, but I will try. Ian has asked, what's the one nutrition lesson I took from my time with James you have stuck to? So James runs a YouTube channel called Nutrition Triathlon. As you can guess, it's about triathlon. James reviewed my diet and weight loss journey and gave me some advice. Now, he said lots of things, and I think it's just in my nature to pick the things out that I like the sound of, and yes, I'll go with that. I tried to push that to one side, but again, I can only focus on so much. The main thing I took away from him was reframing my expectations. This isn't specifically like diet or nutrition advice. It benefits my diet and nutrition strategy, but I think it's beneficial to multiple areas of my life. And that's just to not aim for everything. I don't need to lose a kilo a week to get in great shape in 3 months or something. I need to have a sustainable approach, and I'm trying to use that in lots more areas of my life. So YouTube for one, training for another, work for another, you know, home life for another. Just try and do things that are sustainable and not at any end of the extremes. So that's the main thing I've taught. What that actually looks like is I'm aiming for a smaller calorie deficit per day. I'm not stressing if, like, today is a rest day, I'm doing this instead of going for a run. I'm not going to be in a calorie deficit today. That's fine. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm going to go on to tomorrow and continue working from tomorrow. Today still be a fine day. I'll break even, no problem, but I don't need to absolutely kill myself to try and hit this goal that I've set myself. And that's making me happier. Sure, it might be slowing down progress in my mind, but I actually think it's speeding up progress, because when I have that all or nothing approach, I do all for a while and then nothing. And I think I actually end up in a better place, being more sustainable. This is real growth for me, isn't it? Hannah Monday has asked, what excites me most about this year? Now, Hannah does have her own YouTube channel, which you should check out. It's either Hannah and Will Monday or Will and Hannah Monday. I can't remember which way around they did that, but I'll leave a link in the description down below if I remember. If not, search it, Pro Triathlete, great content. What excites me most about this year? I mean, I guess if it's like events-wise, I'm really looking forward to Ironman Wales, but I think my overall excitement is just to be in better shape and be enjoying the sports that I love. That's the main thing for me, and I think that I'm excited to be in better shape and to be performing better, and that's motivating me, and that's what's going to make me happy, I think. David Goodall, how's the weight loss going? So yeah, okay, as I mentioned earlier, you know, I've reframed my expectations. I'm not shooting for the stars anymore. I'm just going for a slow and steady loss. I'm right about now almost exactly 100 kilos. Post illness, I was 102 and a half. So I'm now 6 or 7 weeks on. So losing roughly half a kilo a week, which in 1 week shots feels like nothing, but actually, you know, compounding over a few weeks is chipping away. I'm hopefully going to be under 100 in a week or so, and that will be a real step change. I got to just under 100 before illness, so now I'm happy I'm in the same position, but I'm feeling nowhere near as like rough and empty and like I've been through an ordeal to get to it. So I'm sure this is, you know, more consistent and more sustainable, and I'm hoping to get in you know, better shape by the end of the year. Jonathan has asked about the NRG Pulley and Chain combo deal. Can I do an install video, please? Yes. I am constantly frustrated by bike mechanics, so as in like me working on a bike, so I don't do much mechanic content because it's just me swearing and throwing Allen keys around. But yes, I will do something like that in future. All of the like links and discount codes and stuff to my partners, so NRG included, I leave in the description of the videos. I try not to talk about it because it just feels awkward, but I've got a discount code for NRG. They're great, make great products, and yeah. In fact, Jonathan, how about you get some and you can make a video and I'll put it on my channel. C. Jenko asks, can I do the Outlaw full in 8 weeks after missing nearly 8 weeks of training with illness? That sounds rough. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully you're back on it now. Absolutely you can. There's no rules at check-in. They'll let you do exactly what you want. Now, seriously though, you can do more than you think you can. I've seen some unfit people do some extraordinary things. It's all about what's up here. Sure, fitness helps, but trust in what you've done in months and years gone past, not in the last few weeks. Of course, you do need some recent fitness to be able to do the thing, but 8 weeks is plenty of time. You've got 6 or 7 weeks training, do less than you think you need to, try not get injured, don't get ill. That's probably the key focuses there, and just reframe your expectations. The best thing you can do on the day to get through it is to go much slower than you think you need to, particularly on a 3-lap bike course. Make the first lap your slowest. Try and go a bit faster on the second lap, a bit faster on the third lap, or just keep it the same. Don't go out too hard, because that's the risk, I think, when you're not carrying the level of fitness you're perhaps used to, is that you still, I feel great on race day, I'm going to go on like I normally do. That might be your undoing, but yeah, absolutely you can. So I used to work for British Triathlon, and one year I was on the Ironman UK like check-in desk back when you bought day licenses there and then. And I'd ask people at the check-in desk, you know, what other events you done, you know, I've done this one before, all that sort of stuff. Loads of people would say, oh no, it's my first triathlon, I've never done one, I've done some training. And then like, you know, you get their names or something, or you talk to them after the event or see the results, and they get around. So It's doable. Are all my bikes with the metrics that Dan at UK Bike Fit advised? I mean, advised. It's only advice, isn't it? I don't have to do it. No. We still don't fully agree on the saddle height conundrum in that I think my saddle should be higher than he thinks, but the rest of the metrics, Dan has done a fit on me, so I have like my shifters in the right position, I have my cleats in the right position, all those sorts of things. So it's just a saddle height. Dan will probably say that's a really key and integral part of the fit, but I feel like I'm comfy and I feel like I'm all right. So I know that's not perfect, but no is the answer. That's why he refuses to share anything I put on Instagram. Try Guy, we need a chicken update. Yes, I know, I keep pestering Liz to do one of these. She hasn't got around to it yet, but we will do so in the next couple of weeks. Tim has asked, comparison between a turbo and a road session, same distances, duration, power. I'm guessing you mean like what's better to do. If it's the same distances, duration, power, then I think a road ride is still better for you overall than an indoor training ride. I used to have a coach that would go on about when you're pedaling, when you're riding fast, it's something to do with inertia and velocity of something, and it's better for your muscles. I don't know. There's more to riding a bike than just pushing power. So being outdoors, you're cornering, you're going up and down, you're not just holding a set power because of undulations in the road and so on. So I'd always go for outdoors. There's probably not much training effect difference in honesty. And sometimes if you can't do a session outdoors, it's better to do it indoors and really nail a structured session. But whenever you do any sort of race, show me your pretty graph. It doesn't exist. So you don't always need to train to create a pretty graph and something you can post on Strava and look cool. Training outdoors is fine. Although I do get frustrated with trying to do intervals outdoors, I know that. But the house race team organised lots of local crits to me, and I haven't done very many this year for various reasons, but thank you very much for the questions. All their races are at Darley Moor, so if you fancy doing any racing at Darley Moor, check out the house race team. They ask, have I noticed any difference since going back to eating meat? And no, not really. So I was a vegan a few years ago, then vegetarian, and now I am is it omnivore? Is that the right term? I eat everything essentially. And there's no direct change that I can measure from that change in diet. My body composition and fitness has changed, but there's always been other reasons why that's happened. It might have had an effect, but it's just so hard to say whether that is the effect or not. The only effect I can tell is that I'm less stressed because of it. I'm not thinking about, I can only have this, or I'm restricted on that, or we've not got any of this in, or we're going out and there's no vegan option. I'm a lot happier not having that stress in my life. If money was no object, what crit bike would you have? Whichever one lets me lap the field at Darley. I think I would have an Aero CFR, obviously money no object, in the Alpecin Edition team colour. I really, really like that. Bit of a Canyon fanboy, so if it wasn't a Canyon, perhaps something like a Scott Foil. They look super aero, or even the new Treks with the little hole at the back. I quite like the look of that. But I do have a new crit bike coming very soon, but that isn't like a huge cost bike, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's not the best one, so I'll see how that goes first. Tell us more about the relationship with Chris Wilson and how that impacts your vlog. Well, Chris Wilson runs a company called Chris Wilson Visuals, and the way we started working together was brilliant. I put a post up on, I think it was Fiverr, which is like a website where either if you're a creator and you want somebody to do something, whether it's thumbnails or video editing or photo editing, you put up what the job is, and then essentially, actual creators, people who know what they're doing, don't just have YouTube channels, can like pitch for the job or communicate to you and say, I can do this, and then you sort of, arrange a deal, and that's that. Chris, I put something up on Fiverr, and I think I had something like 3 bullet points, and I said, I want somebody to support me at events with capturing event videos. I want somebody to edit videos. I want somebody to create thumbnails, and I can't afford to do all 3. So if you're like one of those, cool, but I don't know in my mind what's the priority. I want to get the best person for one of those and just roll with it. And Chris reached out. He was at the time working, and I want to get him on to tell this story himself, so I'm not going to tell the full thing, but he's a bit camera shy, shockingly. He was working part-time as a delivery driver and part-time trying to grow his business, where he was trying to be a videographer, photographer, content creator for other businesses. He doesn't want to be an influencer or anything like that. And we started working together. He basically said, look, I've done a bit of triathlon in the past. I'm trying to get my own thing going. I can definitely come and support you at events, and I can help you out with Instagram reels or thumbnails, those sorts of things. So we started doing that, and Chris, was grossly undercharging back then because he was trying to get his business off the ground, and I was paying him everything I could. And then since then his business has grown, he does it full time, he's got too much work if anything, and earns a living, and we've grown our relationship. He does more for me than he did back then. I'm paying him more than I did back then, and it's really enabled me to take the channel to the next level. I'm hugely grateful for everything he does. He's not just you turn up and hold a camera. Like at triathlons and events, there's so much running around and early starts and travel, and he does a brilliant job, and I'm like, can I get the video out in 2 days, those sorts of things. So he's really enabled me to take those event day videos to the next level. When I watch them now the last year or two, I do really think, I hope that that's a good video, that's well put together. I like the quality, I like the audio, I feel like it's representative of the events that I'm trying to show. And without him, I'm not really able to do that. Liz isn't a videographer. I don't want her to have that pressure on race days. I want her to be able to cheer and shout people on, to be able to talk to people when she wants to, and just have a good time. So I'd much rather, just pay somebody to do that. Chris also does all of the thumbnails on these videos because I don't have time to do the thumbnails every single day. So that's something I pay him for monthly. He does them in the background. That helps me put out more content, and of course helps me grow the channel. James Eastwood asks, building bikes or racing bikes? Absolutely, hands down, racing bikes. I think building bikes, I get frustrated with it because of the way in which I do it. If I could have a brand new bike and a brand new group set and all the tools hung up on the wall and everything I need to, need to put together be there, I'd probably enjoy it. But because of the way in which I operate, everything's bought off Facebook Marketplace. My tools are in a drawer somewhere with half of them missing. It's just a bit more of a frustrating procedure. So for the time being, definitely racing bikes, and I don't want to waste the time on spending hours building a bike when I need to be out there riding the damn thing. Ian asks, what's the one race that I've learned the most from? Probably Challenge Roth in 2023. I had a great race that day. I PB'd over the distance. I had a great performance versus my ability, and that gave me a lot of happiness and satisfaction because of the numbers. I also got a lot of support for it, which I was really grateful for. But I took away from that I'm really happy today because I've done the numbers, but I'm actually more happy because of the people I've met, the support on the videos, and just the amazing time that we've had. And I tried to challenge myself. Would I have felt like that if I had not done a good time for me? And I think I would have done. So I took that away, that I'm not just basing my happiness on numbers or time or position, that sort of thing, because you can still have an amazing time if you're not at your absolute best. And I sort of just challenged myself that, when we stood there after the finish, we're stood there in watching the finish line party, and it's dark, and these people have been out 15, 16 hours, they've still got the same feeling that I have. And I just thought to myself, if I'm in that position, I'm going to have that feeling as well. I'm not going to be kicking myself about times. Scott Bass, what are the top 5 best triathlon events in the world that I would recommend? I mean, I've not really raced much internationally, to be honest, just because there's so much going off in the UK and close by. So I'd probably just the ones that I've done. Challenge Roth, Ironman Wales. I'd also think events that aren't massive because of different reasons. Matlock Sprint Tri. It's not affiliated to British Triathlon. It's 15 quid. The right number on your leg. You still have a brilliant day out. An Outlaw half. I cannot recommend Outlaw halves enough, especially for your first middle distance race. They're so welcoming, so inclusive, and just a bit more low key than these big events, and of course cheaper, so the accessibility is a bit easier. I know triathlon's still really expensive, but they're at the lower end of the price point for middle distance events. And 5, probably the Brutal Triathlon. Again, a very different vibe to these other big events, but it's more about a self-challenge, and it's really low-key, and I think that requires you to motivate yourself from within rather than from big crowds shouting you on. Mark says, how are the injuries, and am I getting consistent in my training again? And Wesley, yes, definitely getting a lot more consistent in my training again now. Injuries, I only have the one. It's a left hamstring niggle. It's just preventing me from increasing my run volume, if anything. Other than that, I'm absolutely fine. I am going to get the hamstring sorted at some point, but for the time being, I can muddle my way through. I'm still getting fitter, and it's on and off, so it's not like it's getting worse. I think after the roller coaster I've been on, only having one niggle, I'll take that every day of the week. And where is Lee? Now, I know Lee's not been on very many videos recently. He was on the Outlaw half video, but we've not done much training together, and that's because we haven't done much training together. Lee's a lot fitter than I am, so if we go out on a ride or a run, he's just a million miles ahead. We do swim together once a week, but it's just the one session that I can't make a video about, so we're still training together, still obviously great mates, and spend a lot of time together, but just haven't done much on video. We are doing a challenge later this year together, which we will likely do some training for, so I'm sure I'll get him back on the channel. He's also an adult with a proper job and a family and a life, so he's got other things going off other than me, which is upsetting to me. I'm struggling to process it, but he has. Jamie, thank you very much for your kind words. Do I plan on doing any more TTs? There's only one TT that I'm on the fence about entering this year, and that is the National 100. Now, it's not because I think I can win the National 100, it's because it is 2 weeks before Ironman UK, and it's on quite a lumpy course. So I was thinking, oh, can I use that as a training day? Can I go to a race for sort of free motivation to do 100 miles relatively hard on a TT bike, and then do a run off of it, and that's my big session 2 weeks out ticked off. My only reservation is that it's in Cirencester, which is a couple of hours drive from me, and the cost is £40 to enter, and I can't find any accommodation for less than about £120, so plus fuel and food, etc., it's a 250 quid training day, which I don't really think my performance is going to warrant. So I'm just trying to think, what else can I do that same day? There is a triathlon local to me, which is an Olympic distance. I really want to support local triathlons, so leaning more towards that at the minute. But yeah, that's the only real one I think about. There is a local club that does midweek time trials, but I just haven't been over to it this year. It just doesn't seem to fit right, and they do a 5 mile and a 10 mile, and I don't want to ride flat out for 10 or 20 minutes at the minute, so I'm just going to see how we go later on the year. I do still have an itch to go back and do the national 12 hour or a 12 hour time trial, but not this year. Simon asks, tubes or tubeless? Depends on the discipline. I am fully tubeless on everything, but I'd actually run clinches on the road, no problem, no concerns. Tubeless doesn't work as well on road because of the higher pressures in terms of sealing, but for the few times you get a puncture, I still take a tube with me. I'll just put a tube in. M.E. Barrett asks, realistic time frame and practical tips for getting the 70.3 bike time down from 3 hours to 2.5 hours. Absolutely doable, and if anything, I think you could split that 15 minutes from equipment and bike and 15 minutes from fitness. So 15 minutes from fitness is probably more difficult than getting 15 minutes from the bike. I don't know how optimized you are, but as you go faster, the equipment matters more, the aerodynamics matter more. So I'd probably prioritize it something like bike fit, tires, tubes, drivetrain, helmet, something like that, and skin suit clothing. I know it's not easy to get a good skin suit for fast speeds in triathlon. You need to get a fast triathlon suit, but yeah, definitely doable. What's 2 hours 30? Is that 22.5 miles an hour, or is it? Yeah, it's 22.5 miles an hour. It's pretty fast, isn't it? But I'm sure you can get to it. Just break it down and just learn to ride faster as well. Things like cornering and surging on hills and those sorts of things. It's doable. My first middle distance bike split at Outlaw half was 2 hours 55, and my fastest is 2 hours 12 on the same course. So it is doable. What are my strategies and routines to balance a full-time job, training and YouTube? Now, I'm probably still quite time rich compared to a lot of people in that I don't have children, I don't have any demands that really take me away from home for long periods of time. I'm in a good routine, and Liz is a great support. So I feel like I'm not really that time crunched. I'm only time crunched because I make myself time crunched. So it's not a difficult place to be in because, I make my bed, I've got to lie in it, right? So my strategies and routines are that I've just got to try and make the most out of the time that I do have. So I work from home 3 or 4 days a week, so I have no commute 3 or 4 days a week. I use that time at the minute mostly for training, but in the past I've also done things like if I'm 7 till 8 in the morning, I'm editing a video. Often I'll sit in bed in the evening, Liz is watching some rubbish on TV, and I'll be editing a video, or I'll be recording a video before tea. Liz is very helpful, obviously doing, cooking, need a meal or something. I'll be making a video quickly and then going out to spend some time with her after that. So I guess it's just all that priorities, isn't it? And I do make it a priority. I think I've done a better job recently of balancing priorities across my life, because of course I can't just, no life responsibilities, I'm YouTubing. That ain't it. But I've just got to balance things. But I guess my mentality, my strategy is just all in. I've just got to give it everything. The same with work, the same with life and training. I've got to just be all in, because otherwise what's the point? Callum asks, what has motivated and inspired me to train again after all the setbacks and challenges? Lots of things. Liz has been a great motivator in the right sort of way. This channel has honestly been one of the main reasons for me not just sacking, specifically triathlon. I think if I didn't have this channel, I would have seriously considered just sacking off triathlon, especially after having wrist and running injuries. I'm like, what's the point in swimming and running? I'll just ride my bike, I enjoy it. So definitely this channel, but I'm so glad that it has. And I guess you've got to think about, where does your motivation come from? Does it come from, other people, what they think of you, or you doing events or something? Or does it come from you wanting to do something? And I want to do triathlon, I want to be happy and healthy. So therefore, even though you have, setback after setback, as soon as that's out the way, I'm then back to working towards those goals. So I don't want to sound too internet motivational or whatever, but yeah, I just really enjoy it and want to do these things. So therefore, it doesn't feel like I'm having to motivate myself. I'm just, right, back to it now, then let's get to it. Try Pengen, how to pee on the bike without it going in your shoes. I mean, as soon as you pee on the bike, there's no control, is there? Just do whatever and accept that you're going to have to abuse your washing machine at some point. Adam's asking about the next hosted ride. I haven't got any immediate plans for one just because I've got quite a busy summer. I'm not writing off doing one between Ironman UK and Ironman Wales, but I'm just going to see how that goes and how tired I am. So I might do one 2 weeks after Ironman UK, but I'll see. I want to do one in the Peak District. Haven't yet found a location that will, you know, have big parking, toilets, let us go away for a few hours, come back, that sort of thing. But I'm working on it. How do I find I'm able to balance obsession and enjoyment in the sport? I think in a weird way, I do enjoy being obsessed. I think I like to think of it as like relentlessness. So I'm relentlessly focused on riding my bike and training because I think I need to do that to be in good shape. Triple Brutal James once said to me, "Are you obsessed by triathlon?" And I was like, I don't know, thinking I can't say yes. And he was like, because you've got to be if you want to be any good. I'm like, okay, that does make sense. So I guess it's not too much of an obsession. I think you've still got to know when to not do things and when to put other life things above it. But I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, triathlon's like just a hobby, because it's a lot more than that. It's this, it's my pastime, for me, it's my health. Like it is more than that. So yeah, definitely obsessed, but enjoy it. And Charlie, do I honestly believe that I can get back to the fitness I've been in previously? I don't know is the honest answer. And it's not like a defeatist answer and that, oh, I don't know and probably not. It's I don't know because I know what I put in to get in the shape I was in a few years ago. So 80 odd kilos, 370, 320 FTP, like, good bike shape and a decent runner. And you just don't know if you're still able to do that like 5 or 6 years later. So I know I can put that training in again, I think. And that's all I'm going to do and just see where I come out in a few months' time. That's all I can really do. I'm investing, I think, in the right areas. So, I've got a coach and I'm prioritizing time and I'm certainly training a lot and I'm just going to see how it goes. I'm trying to not get hung up on getting back to where I was, but also it's easier to do what you've once done than to try and do something you haven't done before. So if I was to try and say, oh, I want to try and get 300 watt FTP and I've never had one, well, if I've already had one before, it's an easier to achieve goal. So setting myself a target of getting back to where I was, I don't think is unrealistic, but it is just going to take a heck of a lot of work. And also it's defining what is the best. Is it just numbers? Because for example, I'm Outlaw half Nottingham. 2019 I did 4 hours 36, so as far as 37. 2023, 10 kilos heavier, I went sort of 7 or 8 minutes faster total. I was faster in swim, bike and run. So it's not just weight, it's not just performance. I do think the weight is a big factor and that's probably holding me back in a lot of areas. So I'm hoping that when that is off, I'll be a heck of a lot closer to where I was. But yeah, I don't know his honest answer. And thank you for making it this far. Neil has asked, what is my bucket list race? So I have 2, and both of them I'm going to do everything I can to try and get in 2026, because if not now, then when? The Norseman, I have entered the ballot 2 years on the trot. I've tried to YouTube my way in once, and I'm going to try my hardest again because I'd absolutely love to do that. I like the fact that it's like self-supported, so you can involve your support crew in your race day as well. Obviously amazing scenery, looks a brilliant race. I like that it's hard to get into. I'm going to keep trying. And then a gravel event, Unbound in America, it's supposed to be the biggest gravel event in the world. Looks incredible. It looks a great event. If you do the 200, obviously it's a long day out. I really like the idea of that, and I just think I'd really like to experience like a globally big gravel cycling event. Again, a ballot to get into, expensive to get to, perhaps not realistic, but I'm going to give it a go and just see what happens.